try to get here before it starts. It's challenging. I don't eat down like today. I didn't eat down there because I wouldn't have time.
I know.
You need to talk to people and choose to be building community.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're moving to once a quarter.
Me too.
Michael, good to see you. Are we all ready for next week? Yeah?
All done. I got all my little pennies free. And he's got blue ready to go. He's got so much of it.
You need to build a glass pyramid or anything?
How's mine? Yeah. So now, you gonna be around for a while?
Here, in town.
We're gonna need to slip away.
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no goggles right now.
Not for a while.
He's gonna be here, so.
I should be here for several months. I mean, before I go to the main.
I know. We're going to keep you around a while, okay?
I do, John.
Might be the holidays, you know, like after Christmas and New Year's or something.
Danny and I are gonna go on a trip. We're gonna get, it's easy for me to travel on the ship. Because I store my miscellaneous and stuff like that.
I usually watch on Zoom, so I figured since I'm on the board,
He
there's
across to New Zealand and Australia.
one more.
America, Australia, and everything.
He well, Australia.
I like to be up front.
So nice. It's a great place.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I learned driving alongside the road.
Hmm?
I learned driving alongside the road.
I didn't drive. I haven't driven
Have
either.
you ever read this book? Touch by an Angel?
Down all you guys.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun.
We are. We are. I had a discussion yesterday with something, but it's not a Sunday thing. I'll talk to you later about it. About outreach opportunities. I'm going to my computer.
Love to hear that.
Yeah.
All right, there she is.
Okay.
I'm watching you.
I know it. Oh. Man, just feels like
12 o'clock.
rush until now. Now I can sort of sit down.
We have my. The shoes don't quite go with it, but that's.
I don't know. I think they do. Of course, my sense of fashion.
I love it.
Absolutely. I was hoping you'd ask.
No, I was in the group and I really wanted to tell you how much you affected me.
Okay.
And I also.
Yes, I'm sure. I was looking forward to it too.
So good afternoon. I'd like to thank you for joining us today. For our July 2023 opportunity to spend some time together in Town Hall. Reverend Tim, would you lead us in prayer just to kind of get us started? And
I would love to do that. Jerry's going to put on his antlers here. Okay. All right, there you go. All right, so let's pray in. Those of you who are online and those of you who are in this space, we just take a deep breath and we know in this moment that we are in the presence. We are the presence. That all that we are talking about today is about building the beloved community. The finances, our plans, the things that are happening, it's all building the beloved community. Spirit, we bless this time together. We bless each one who can be here. And we are grateful for this time, and so it is. Amen.
so thank you, Tim. Today was Bling Sunday, and so I brought some bling along. Hey, you know, it does look good, actually. Marcia Dinamayer, who you heard speak this morning, she used to have a show, a two-woman show she put on called Money Talks, but what the hell is it saying? And that was actually the first time that Reverend Tim had a chance to meet her. We got Tim really wet one night in a storm. and we went and saw them play this show at Doris Duke Theater. And so the fun thing about that was I used to be her doorman, and so we always had bling handy for celebration of her talking about money. And actually, I find it's appropriate for me today because I'm also doing the treasurer's report for you. So I'm ready to go. Okay, Kathy, if you would go on to the next slide, please. So typically, we want to remember that where we have come from and where we are going, because we have, as a board, and this is the board's cue card. As a board, we had some challenges at one time, and we have grown to a large extent out of them. But we want to remember that at one time, we were exhibiting behaviors that were inconsiderate and unsafe. We were feeling helpless. We were distrusting. We were overwhelmed, and we were actually hostile. And we recognized that was behaviors we had then, and we've grown out of them for the most part. We still have some growth to make. And what we are now is, our next slide. That's okay. There we go. And this is who we intend to be. We intend to be loving, in integrity, unstoppable, Spirit-led, empowered, in ownership, and, as per our mission statement, transformational. So the next slide is one that's very dear to me. The Unity Church of Hawaii has 10 guiding principles for the Board of Trustees. And I'm going through one each month. And so this month, which is our third one, is we seek to know that nothing and no one is against us. This is something I heard for the first time when Reverend Denise was here, that no one and nothing is against us. And I had a little challenge with that because I liked being the center of attention. I liked being so important that things were going wrong for me, so I could be angry about them. And as I learned this to be true for me, and I came to realize that it was all just going on between my two ears, I came to a great deal of peace in virtually everything I do and all the relationships I have, recognizing that I can see the divinity in each person and know that they're doing the best they can. So that gives me the room to do the best I can. So this has been very important to my personal growth. Our board has exhibited it too, to a great extent. So that's our number 3 guiding principle. Okay, board news. Yay! Francia, stand up and say hello, please. Our newest board member. Do you want to do your speech now or later? Okay. Francia has agreed to join us on the Board of Trustees for the vacancy that we had. We are still pending a background check on her, but she assures me that she was not an international terrorist, so we should be okay with that. September 9th, the Unity Worldwide Ministries CEO, Shad Groverland, is going to be here to conduct a workshop with the leadership of the church, and we'll be bringing in leadership from the other Unity churches around too. And this is about the power of focused ministry. And one of the things that we have really come to understand is the importance of us to be in alignment with our mission, to be in alignment with our sense of who we are, what we bring to the table, and our place with God as we move forward. That requires focus. And this is I don't know a thing about what he's bringing to us, but I have heard it's a wonderful opportunity for us to look at where we're moving forward. Is there anything you'd like to say about it beyond that?
I think that's really good. It's just going to be very powerful, and it will be about determining what our focus is and what our focus is not, so that we can be very intentional about our ministry.
Thank you. And then finally, what I'd like to bring up is that these town halls, we're shifting them from monthly to quarterly, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that we feel that there will be a greater impact if we look forward to it, we anticipate it, and we don't just do it every month as rote. We want to bring something to you, and we want you to bring things to us. We are always available. No question, we're always available. Whether you if you have something you want the board to be aware of, make us aware. Anything for the ministry to follow up on, or the staff, work through Reverend Tim, okay, or Johanna, whatever's appropriate for you. In no way are we. But it also makes it a little bit easier on the staff, because we're holding them, to work a little extra, and rather than doing it every month, we'll do it every quarter. Now that means we're going to have one in October, which would be right after our annual celebration of birth of the church. In January, so we can look at how the holidays were for us, and then in April, which would be right after the annual meeting. So they'll be timely. They will be timely. Now, if anything in the meantime comes up and we find need to, which hopefully we won't, we're always happy to have a town hall if it's appropriate. And moving right along. Okay. Treasurer's report. So, notice I got my bling on today, okay? And it was funny when I heard about the bling yesterday. That the men's chorus performed yesterday, and at the performance, I heard this was Bling Sunday, and so it said bring bling today. Okay, so I said, okay, more than just my head being shiny, I thought I'd bring some of the bling that we had laying around. And when I put the bling on today, first I put on the big dollar sign. Then I looked down and I saw the small dollar sign, and I said, which am I? Which do I want to represent? And I realized that both of them have significance to me. Much of my life, this represents where I was. It was about making sure I have enough, and looking to see I have enough assumes that I didn't. And that was how I looked at things a lot of my life. That's how my mother, who was experienced the depression, was. That's what she taught me. And my hope now is that I grow into knowing that prosperity is my divine right, that I am what I am, and I can be who I want to be, and that there is enough always available. It doesn't always feel like it, but it is there. Now, as a board member, both of these are important, because when we have shortfalls financially, it's important for me to take those into consideration and know that we have to be fiscally responsible. But at the same time, that should not be our outlook for who and what and how we are. It's a combination of the two, but I want to make decisions based upon a sense of plenty, a sense of oneness with the universe, a sense of no limitation, being realistic. Okay, so I wore both of them today because somehow it seemed to fit. Okay, so our tithes for June. We tithe $369 to Unity Worldwide Ministry, $369 to Unity Worldwide Headquarters, and to our nonprofit, $369 to that, which was Keiki to Kapuna Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that offers an island-wide meal delivery service to our elderly community. Their mission is to nurture our community and invest to explore how to best help our kapunas age in place. Running the Meals on Wheels program is a sign of our strong commitment to serving nutritious meals to homebound and isolated seniors. And I think that during the pandemic, this proved to be a really valuable service to a lot of people who were not free to get out on their own and ensure they had appropriate sustenance. So our next slide. So this is a snapshot of our month for May of 2023. We had donations of $11,000, other income, which is from our other ministries, of $15,000 for a total of $26,000. It cost us $1,837 to collect that money, which also means that includes our 10% tithe, for a total of expenses of $42,840. And so you see we have a less than positive revenue stream of $16,407. So this is why it's important for us to be aware of our financial situation. So if we go to the next slide, it's kind of fun because Cindy sent me this slide deck, okay? I so adore her. And so she sent this slide deck, and this slide is included in it, and it says, "We flow along the river, sometimes bumpy, sometimes smooth as glass, yet always flowing." And that's true of our resources, financial and otherwise, is we have constantly flowing resources. We have abundance. We don't know, we can't identify exactly where it starts nor exactly where it goes because that's not important. What's important is where we are. And sometimes where we are is a nice, smooth, flowing stream, and sometimes it's the rapids and the water's crashing on the rocks. So some months we have, as Cindy likes to put it, numbers in the brackets, and some months we don't. All right? So our recognition is that does not define us. That makes us aware and gives us as a board a reason to look at how we can make things different. I'm back up here again. I got you. All right. You think I would know better, okay? I run the cameras. All the people who are online are just saying that someone is talking. We don't know who it is. So anyway, so we recognize that we are in the flow. We are in the flow. And sometimes the flow is not quite what we would like it to be, and sometimes it is. And so it's our opportunity to choose our course as we go through that flow. And that's what we're doing. Next slide, please. So this slide does show our annual to date, and it shows that in our reserves, we have transferred money to the reserve, from the reserve to help us stay functional. All right, and that's why the letter went out asking for help for our reserves. So the thing about the reserves, we didn't just say, send us money for our operating funds, because that would not necessarily be appropriate at this point. We believe as a board it's important to make conscious decisions about our spending. And by putting it in a reserve, we make conscious decisions before we take that money out. It's not just money in the operating funds that we can just spend. It's money that has been, we recognize that this is funds that we need to have beyond what our budget had because we weren't able to stick quite to the budget, all right? And we recognize that. We're working on those things. We're looking at where we may be leaking resources and where we might be able to generate more. Those are things we're constantly looking at. But the important thing that I want to stress here is that we asked for assistance to help build our reserve because we want to make conscious decisions as we make these spending decisions. And that's why we went this way. Now, one of the interesting things, if we go to the next slide, this shows you what has happened with our that's revenues. Okay, revenues for the whole year. We're $59,359 in the red for the whole year. Go on to the next slide, please, if you would. What I want to show you is what the reserve fund is doing, because the reserve fund, we've taken money out of the reserve fund, we've added money to it, and so from our letter we had $24,786.50. Now you saw that in June, we had a pretty substantial negative revenue. And part of that is perhaps because I take part of the responsibility for that letter, wasn't clear perhaps that if we are taking funds and adding it to our reserve, we really don't want to take that from people's ordinary giving. And that's often a challenge that happens in a church, is that when we ask for a donation for here, it comes out of what would have been donated normally somewhere else. And so it's important for us to look at exactly how those funds have come in and what other impact it had. And I'm not saying we did anything right or wrong. What I'm expressing is it's a question of us looking at how we say what our needs are and express them appropriately, and then make use of the resources that are provided for us. So, any questions or thoughts? You guys are quiet out there. Okay, so our next slide is our mission. Our mission statement, simply, you hear it every week, centered in God. We transform lives and inspire people to make a positive difference in our world. We heard a transformational story today. I know that I have gone through transformation since I first walked through these doors 30-some years ago. And I have had the opportunity. It's fun. Kathy Kaiser's son, Ian, is here today. And I forget how much I adore him. I had the opportunity of working with him when he was in the YOU. And I look at him, and he's a man. How did that happen? And, you know, and to talk to him, he's articulate and intelligent, and he's wise, and he's spiritually oriented. And it's like I want to squeeze him, you know. I just and the truth is, I have seen transformation in him too. I know that for us to become what is right for us to be, we don't know what that is until we get there. And it's as much often as like crossing that stream we saw earlier is you walk up to the stream, and then you can see the rock to step on, and then you can see the next rock to step on, and the next rock to step on, until you finally get to the other side, and you can look back and you can see that you've transformed. So we don't always know how we transform until we do. And what's wonderful is when we can observe it in someone else. I've seen it in me, and I've seen it in people around us. So, next slide. That's it. That's all I've got today. Questions, thoughts, answers? Okay. Either I did really good or really bad. I'm okay with that. Thank you. Yes, Catherine. Would you please?
I don't quite know how to say this. It sounds like you're keeping the congregation aware of how much is being raised, with the hope that the 60,000. I didn't hear that the goal was. Is the goal still 60,000?
I think if we were to put a number on a goal, that would be a number we might use. You know, I once had a boss ask me. He said, "Jerry," he said, "we're going to give you a sales quota," and I said, "Does that mean as soon as I hit the quota, I don't have to sell anymore?" So that's one of the things I want. What I hope for us as a community is that we rise to whatever level we can rise to. If goals are good, numbers are good, so we can give ourselves a gauge. But I'm really liking to see what evolves, and we can continue to talk for it, rather than say, okay, we've made it or not made it. You know, so that's the nebulous answer. I apologize for that.
Is the need still for 60,000? That's not just a number, it's a need.
No. I'm looking closer to 80.
Okay, so I think that also needs to be said to the congregation too, because it is a need.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just a fundraising
Sure.
thing like, okay, let's all make a number. This is the need. So I would consider saying something about that.
Okay, I take that consideration seriously. I think
Yeah.
there's value in helping everyone understand what our intent is.
Yeah. I spent about half an hour, probably longer, on the inner planes about all of this morning. And I'm glad I'm here because, you know, you presented it very well. And I said, what is that's still there? It's that it is a need. And God responds to needs, and so do people. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Francia.
Besides from the congregation giving, tithing, are you looking at fundraising and different things like concerts here at the chapel?
Yes is the easiest answer. For example, next Sunday, we're having an art show fundraiser. Yes was the answer. We're being as strategic and as deliberate about it as we can. And rather than to fundraise people to death, to help them, or to provide a sense of, oh, they're always asking for money, we're trying to do it in such a way that we're clear about what our intention is. And as Catherine pointed out, be clear what our need is. And we're looking at many different avenues moving forward. That is, yeah, I don't have a list of things. That's the fundraising committee has come to the board and said, okay, board, what do you want us to do? And it's really up to the board to give them direction and say, okay, we need to raise this much money. We want to do it in this time frame. We want to do it in such a way that's not going to interfere with other giving or other programs that are going on. So we're hesitant to just fundraise for the sake of fundraising.
Okay, thank you.
Rodney.
I think what we need is a program that lets the individual members know what needs to be done. Like fundraising, okay, so, all right, fundraising, so what? We need to do modifications on the structure. Okay, so what? See what I mean? Like I found out that the wall was leaking in the storeroom. So I've done woodwork before. Mm-hmm. So I changed the wall. Recently I found out that the water is not flowing in the fish pond. Mm-hmm. You know, I have a fish pond. I know how to fix them, so I'm going to come back and fix the fish pond. But how many other members in the church have the ability and experience to do what needs to be done without the church having to pay for it to a contractor? You know, it's trimming trees, for example. That could be done by private people also, and not have to pay for a company to come and trim the trees.
I think your point is well taken. I believe that we do have skill sets within our membership, within our congregants that could help us. Here's what I would offer is because the things you speak of are all facilities related, and I would say bring your thoughts to the facilities committee, and I will express one of the concerns that we have is liability, and so we're concerned about ensuring that people are capable to do what they want. I mean, I'm not the guy that you want to have lay cement, although I've laid it in my house. Okay, I'm just expressing that. Okay, I agree with what you're saying. I think we have talents and capabilities here, at an individual level, and even at a business level, that could be utilized. And it's a question of us reaching out and helping that happen. I will actually make that recommendation to our facilities committee. And I think you have passion about it. Maybe you could actually offer to help them with that process too.
Okay, good.
Hey, Tony.
Hi. So, my expertise is tobacco cessation. Decades ago, I used to give classes here, and they were well attended and like that. I offered classes not too long ago, and I put a high price on them. I don't believe that. I don't think it was a high price, but some people said they didn't want to spend it on that. They'd rather keep that money for their cigarettes. So, yeah. So, my thought is, if you have any interest in promoting these classes. I spent hundreds of dollars on newspaper ads last effort. I bought supplies for a large class. So I had a financial investment, and all the tuition that people paid, the money was going to go to the church. It would have been $6,000 to the church. I didn't feel supported. I didn't feel anything from the church on that. So here's my thought. I still want to support the church, but I don't want to spend my money again and just be ho-hum about it. If the church wants to promote my classes for 10 cents, I don't take anything from it on my own. If you want to offer it for a lower price, if you want to do it for free, if you want to do it for whatever, I'm offering my expertise once again. And if it interests anybody, then let's go for it. If not, I'm okay with that too.
Thank you, Tony. I have a friend who attended your classes, and he successfully stopped cigarettes. I'm a former smoker, so I have passion for what your offering is too. That's something that I can take to perhaps a committee and see what might go from there, and recognize it. I hear you saying you did not feel supported. And that's something that needs to be corrected. You know, for us to be able to move forward with something like that, we need to ensure that those people making those offerings are supported. So thank you for expressing that. Benita?
I remember years ago, there was a group that got together and we worked on the grounds. There were people that knew how to trim and cut grass and everything. So I'm asking, we have to talk to the facilities department and everything, because I could get some people that are good working on the grounds and everything. So that's my question. Would I do that? How would I do that?
Well, that's really a combination of a couple things, because it fall under a volunteer coordinator, because the volunteer coordinator would be the one who would put the word out and help organize those people. I think that needs to be done in conjunction with the facilities committee to ensure that we're all part of a master plan and we're not duplicating efforts or doing things that are inappropriate, because you know, things done out of sequence could even be inappropriate. I don't have an immediate answer for you. Reverend Tim, do you have any thought about that?
No, not at this time. I just think it's good to engage the facilities team, and so that there's a strategy and we find out what it is we need to do. And I also want to respond to Tony that I agree that if we're investing in something, there needs to be, I agree with Tony that if we're investing in a project, if we're investing in something, we need to have good support for that. Yeah.
And then one more question. And then the last thing is, I know a lot of musicians on the island, and how would I go about, like, having a concert or, you know, a fundraising, I don't know. I know some musicians that could perform here. So how would I go about doing that? Who would I talk to? Because there's some of them are willing to come and perform at Unity Church. A lot of jazz musicians I know.
Yeah, I don't, you know, if it's a fundraiser kind of thing, I would say you talk to the fundraising committee, put the bug in their ear, and they can probably help you find the resources, because something like that would take planning for various aspects of the church. You know, and we want to minimize the impact on the staff, so we don't want to just dump stuff on the staff and say, here, figure this out. All right, but I think if you have passion for an idea and you take it to the committee, and because what they'll do is they'll bounce it off the board just to make sure that we're all in agreement, that we're all doing, you know, working the same page. But that's what they do, is they can put those kind of opportunities together, or help find the resources to put those opportunities together. Okay, they don't necessarily do all the work, but they'll help us figure out how to do the work. Catherine, that makes sense? Okay. I don't want to talk for her without her, at least, yeah. Anything else? Okay, then finally. Absolutely, sure, yes. I welcome
You
questions.
know, parking is like chicken's teeth out here. You just can't get it. So I pulled into the spot that was empty that said for the volunteer of the month. Do we still have that? Do we still have a volunteer of the month? Oh, okay. Well, I just thought maybe it was an empty spot that somebody would be happy to use.
Yeah. Parking is appreciably worse than it was pre-pandemic. There's no question about that. You know, and I've noticed it too. Even when I come Monday nights for our chorus rehearsal, we're competing with the AA group at that time too. But I can't seem to come any time of day that we don't have cars lined up all the way around, and it didn't used to be the case. You know, and then also too, there was a time which we may do it sometime again. We get an agreement with Waikiki Elementary, and have some additional parking down the street. At such time that we have enough of our seats filled and our revenue is at a point that we can work with them on that, we'll probably do that again. So I personally recognize the issue. I do, and I don't have an immediate response for that. Go ahead.
Just an input. I've watched this thing and I went, where did all these cars come from? People park and go walking. They go walking over to Kapiolani and go up the mountain. Yes, all the time. Yeah, I've seen. You start watching. Yeah, that's what a lot of it is.
Anything from online? Okay. Then, can we go to the next slide? There we go. Oh, gosh, okay. Yes.
Fundraising, okay, what I heard today is we still need $60,000 to $80,000. I'd like to just put that out to the universe. Because I know sometimes we say, we get embarrassed, we don't want to be asking, we don't want people coming, but this is a need. Mm-hmm. And so I just am putting that out to the universe, to all of us, and it's there. And we're doing a great job. And in the past, sometimes it's taken months, but we get there.
Yep.
We have always reached our fundraising goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, and your intent is well noted. Thank you very much. Okay, then let's close out with our traditional closing.
Everybody's going to run. All right.
Go ahead.
Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love.
Thank you all. Thank you.
So there weren't any babies here, but they